9:27 now. January has unofficially been dubbed Divorce Month due to a spike in filings at the first of the year. And for those considering divorce, how do you know when it's time to call it quits and what's the next step? Atlanta lawyer Randy Kessler has handled several high-profile celebrity divorces. He's here now with some advice for us. Randy, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, glad to have you here today. And you're here at perfect timing because the Bezos divorce, Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, getting divorced from his wife. There's so much money at stake. Where do you start with a case like that?
It should be easy, right? Money solves a lot of things, and this case should not go to court. I can't imagine that they're not going to be able to resolve themselves. They've got children. They're going to put a lot of money away for their children. And the only question is going to be, does he keep control of the company, which I'm sure is going to happen, and he's going to find a way to pay her out, borrow some money or give her some shares. They're going to be fine.
How much money's at stake here?
There's over $130 billion.
$130 billion. That's amazing. Amazing. Yeah. A lot at stake. A lot at stake. Wow. My goodness. Okay, so we often hear divorce lawyers busy all the time, but especially in January. So why is that? Is it really true?
Yeah, look, the Bezos are no exception. A lot of people say, I'm going to make it through this holiday season, I'm going to bite my tongue, and then after the holiday season, I'm going to start over, and I'm going to go see a lawyer. And maybe they don't file for divorce, they figure out what it's going to be like, and they just want to see, could my life be different? What would it be like if I was no longer with this person? Would I be happy or not? What would the money look like? Relationship with the children. So we get very, very busy, unfortunately, every January.
So someone that's like, yeah, that kind of sounds like me. What's your tip for them to get started?
Get some knowledge, do some research, meet with a lawyer, meet with 2 or 3 lawyers. You're not getting a divorce just because you meet with a lawyer, but try to figure out what would your life be 5 years from now if you were divorced. It may not be what you think it is. It may not be like your friend's divorce that was great. Figure out what your situation is and talk to somebody who knows. And
you mentioned, talking to more than one person, interviewing around. So what's your advice on finding a good lawyer, knowing that you're talking to the right person?
So there's no one right answer, but you got to find somebody who does a lot of divorce. You don't want to go to a cancer doctor if you've got a bone spur. You want to go to a divorce lawyer because you might be needing a divorce. But find out from your friends who they liked and who they used. Find out from your lawyer if you had a lawyer do your will or do your corporate incorporation papers. Ask that lawyer, who do you trust in the divorce space? And go talk to 1, talk to 2, and figure out who listens to you, who you like talking to, because that person's going to be sharing some intimate stuff with you.
Yeah, they're going to know the nitty-gritty of what's going on. So a question that I'm sure a lot of people have been wondering, when are you going to get to this question? When do you know that it's time to file?
Whew, that's a tough one. People always ask me, should I file? I will never tell anybody you have to file, or should I be the first to file? You just got to know, and I think a lot of people just wake up one morning. I have people that come in, they do checkups every year. I just want to think about it again, and every now and then they'll come in and they'll say, I know, because I can visualize myself post-divorce. And when you can see yourself in a new relationship or outside of this marriage, it's probably time. But sometimes you don't get to make the decision. Sometimes you know because you get divorce papers served and then you know.
Yeah. So you've done a lot of, we mentioned high-profile divorces, celebrities, athletes. I'm sure so much at stake when you talk about those cases, but how are those different than just like the average Joe divorce? And is there a big difference?
In a lot of ways they're different, but in a lot of ways they're not. People are people, rich, poor, black, white. I mean, we all have the same feelings. We all have the same emotions. Rejection is rejection. Everybody that gets married promises to themselves, to God, this is for life, till death do us part. Not one person has come in and said, well, I got into this knowing it was only temporary. So it's a failure for both parties. So it's hard on them. But for the celebrities, they're used to having people do their stuff for them. They've got to handle this themselves. We've got to get heart to heart. Do you really want to be alone? Do you really want to be with him despite what he's done? And we've got to figure out what they want. So this is something they can't do through a manager or a broker or a runner or a business manager. So in that way, it's a little bit different. It's unique for them. And I'm just lucky to see inside of people's lives that are that spectacular when they're really just being their truest selves. It's I consider myself fortunate.
Yeah, well, a tough topic, obviously, but one that's important for a lot of people to hear.
It is.
Yeah, definitely. Didn't know that. Unofficially dubbed Divorce Month, January. There you go. Randy, thank you so much for coming in today. We appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thanks.
It's good to meet you. And Randy Kessler's book, Divorce, Protect Yourself, Your Kids, and Your Future, is available now. Time is 9:32. Let's learn more of what's happening today. We'll check in with Good Day's Sharon Lawson for the latest. Sharon.